And so we'll kind of do three things. I'll say a couple things, and then Carol, our treasurer, will come up, and then we'll have some Q&A. And again, the Q&A will be like usual. If you have questions for us that have to do with the all church, and then we'll be up here for more individual questions as long as you want as well. So my role is talking about this financial situation that we discussed a month ago is kind of like, how did we get here and what are we going to do moving forward? And so it was good having Bill with us this morning because, like many churches, New City began with a really simple structure. A small group of really faithful pastors and staff and a lot of volunteers. They carried a ton of weight, oftentimes without thank yous and oftentimes well below market pay. And those leaders began to retire and oftentimes moving to other states. And then as I came on, as the church began to bring on some more people and some more staff, and while I've been privileged to be here at New City Church, we've made some intentional decisions to bring on some more people, invest in some programs that can help serve our people and expand our reach. And one of those that we decided to launch was an after-school program. And it was a strategic move. As a church, like Bill said this morning, our role is to make disciples. Our role is to be ministers. And people by far decide to follow Jesus at things like the VBS below the age of 16. We're between two schools, we're in a neighborhood. But that program that could bless the local community didn't get off the ground and didn't grow the way that it needed to. The program didn't pull significant, it ended up pulling significant resources away from the church operating budget. It was a failure of execution. We received our license late, and I got too excited about the potential of what it could be that I didn't pay attention to the potential pitfalls. Last month, we shared the financial reality. Many of you responded with generosity, with encouragement, and with lots of prayers, and we felt that. But we didn't hit the financial goal to be able to continue as normal. At the meeting last month, we shared that if we continue to spend at the current rate without bringing in more income, we would run out of money somewhere before the early fall. Thankfully, because of your increased giving, some adjustments and ongoing cost reductions and a continued discipline and commitment to monitoring our financial reserves, we're now in a better place. Carol will come up in a moment to discuss the specifics, but thank you and thanks to God, we do not foresee running out of money at any time during 2025. And we'll finish with 2025 with enough reserves going into 2026 with enough cushion that we won't have to rely on one-time asks in order to get through the lean months of the year. This is the point. While it's very difficult, we are headed towards financial sustainability based on our typical giving patterns. Again, Carol will go over the specifics. Some of our risks paid off. There's really good ministry going on here at New City Church, but some of the risks didn't succeed in the ways that we needed them to succeed. And now we're doing what's necessary to put the church on a stronger footing moving into the future. So what we're doing moving forward. So after the merger, after COVID, after Bill's retired, new pastor, after working through a majority of our Eyes Towards the Harvest renovations, we're thinking of this as a foundational year, a season to reset, retrench, refocus, and rebuild for long-term health. Over the past few weeks, the elders and our treasurer, a lot of time spent from Carol, have taken a careful and a prayerful look at our budget, our ministries, and our operation and asked the question, what's sustainable and what's the best position for New City Church moving forward? And here's what we decided. Number one, we need to realign our budget to match our giving. We're bringing our expenses in line with our actual income, not hopeful special surges or special asks, not untested programs, but a grounded, sustainable baseline moving forward. That means no more dependence on last-minute asks. That's no new programs without securing the funding. That's a leaner, more transparent budget process moving forward. Second, restructure our staff model. To reduce our largest expense, we've made the painful decision to eliminate staff roles. These roles are filled by really, really good people. Ken, Brooke, John, and Michelle, and some wonderful aides and teachers. People who were there for New City Church when New City Church needed them, stepping up. People who served our church well. These roles are the director of the after-school program, the sub-director of the after-school program, our executive business director, and our administrative director. In place of our executive business director and our administrative director, we're creating a single role, a business operation manager, a streamlined role that consolidates finance, human resources, operations, and facilities. Third thing we want to do, position ourselves for a sustainable future. This is more about than just trimming the budget. It's about building a foundation for the next season of New City Church. These changes allow us to build a stable, sustainable financial plan, avoid repeated emergency giving asks, and refocus our energy on learning to live lives that are second. We remain fully committed to our vision of being second, serving God, serving one another, and serving our community. This new season, this foundational year, will require a lot from us. Like Bill talked about, we will all be ministers. And we will only build what we are prepared to fund. We'll move slower, but we'll move stronger. And while this process is difficult, we believe this reset will help us move forward with clarity, with more unity, and with long-term health for whatever God has next for this next season for New City Church. New City has an incredible and has inherited a wonderful legacy from First Baptist and from Water's Edge and from faithful people who carried this church in the earliest years. And we believe that the best years for New City Church are still ahead of us. And now I'm going to hand it over to Carol, and Carol will go over some of the specifics of the financial information. And then after Carol, we'll be here to, the elders, Carol and I, will be here to answer any questions that you have. Yes, you will.
Testing, is it on? Okay, I'm going to give you a handout in a moment, but I just wanted to say a couple of things first. So I have a one-page summary that goes from where we were to where we are now. And I just want to say that in this, there was an incredible amount of effort for the last few weeks by Dave, by the elders, by the staff, and like he said in words, I'm going to now say in numbers, we do have a plan that works out. Oh, and as I go through this, let me, if you will, get through it, and then ask me questions at the end so I don't get confused, which I do. And I'll be here as long as you want afterwards with as many questions as you want, as much detail, and all that. Okay, so here's some copies. I have 20, so kind of share them a little bit, if you will. And if you don't get a copy now and want one later, we'll certainly get you one. Go ahead and give one to Brooke. Okay, so what we have are columns. The first column from top to bottom shows where we were in January for 2025, what we thought was going on at that time. Then I have the column, I like to just follow things as things change and continue to compare back and see where we were and where we're going. So on May 16th, we stood up in front of you, and that's what you see here. The most important two columns on this report are what we're now, as of June 22nd, projecting for 2025, and also what we're projecting the last column for 2026. Okay, so take a minute on that. The first area is general income. And as Dave said, we lowered our the amount that we were projecting to come in based on a more conservative, not any special ask, just from past history, what the giving has been, and what we can expect. Very conservative. From the May timeframe to the June timeframe, we were able to increase that a little bit because we did get some funds in on the special ask. Okay, so the next area is program income. And that's what we anticipate for the after-school program. Again, it's a reduction. Our Kids Morning Out, in case you don't know, the KMO is Kids Morning Out. That's ongoing. And we have a summer, and we also have a fall. These things, both the KMO, Kids Morning Out, and Vacation Bible Study, are run by not any outside people, but the current caregivers, children's ministry workers that we have on hand. So the expense for those is low. So when you add the projected income, the 826, and then the programs, we end up with, we're projecting 819 in giving for 2025. If you look over to 2026, we've increased that slightly to 913. Okay, so 2025, 819, 2026, 913. Okay, so then we go down to expenses. And you can see all the work that has been done since January. Part of it happened in May when the after-school program was stopped. A lot more happened from May to June. We took it seriously. We looked at all areas. We combined staff. We looked across the board at worship, children's ministry, missions, special events. We have reduced all areas. So the outcome of that comes down to 865 in expenses. Now you see when you cross over to 2026, the number is lower because the savings is for a full year in 2026. The savings are for a full year. The savings in 2025, the year is half over. So we don't achieve as much as the savings as we would in 2026. So that's all the racking and stacking of where we were at the beginning, where we were in May, where we are now, and what we're projecting for 2026. So my favorite little box at the bottom says, what does this all mean? Again, so we show the income anticipated, the expense anticipated, and the cash that we'll have on hand at year end. So we are anticipating that we'll have $274,000 in our bank account at the end of the year. And in no month do we go below zero, which was the anticipated problem that we were forecasting previously. And then 2026, because our income actually exceeds our expenditures, the money in the bank should increase to $339,000. Okay, then the little notes below are some of the areas that we worked in to reduce cost. Okay? No. So, any questions on the format or the financials? The after-school program has been stopped. There is no current forecast for a preschool, which we had talked about last time, that we were kind of still looking at that. The only outside programs, and they're not really outside because they're funded by our children's ministry, Kids Morning Out and Vacation Bible Study ongoing. Okay?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for all of the work and all the affairs that have this. Thank you. So just saying thank you for all of the work and all the time and effort that's gone into this and all the prayers. My question is about the general offering projection for next year and the increase of about 75,000 from this year to next year. How confident are we that that money will be coming in, and what will be those additional sources?
That's about a 10% on the general offering, not on the income that we get for, the rental and the interest and all of that. So that's just a sort of an estimate. Again, we took ourselves down much lower than we thought we would be in 2025, just to be really conservative. But of course, we're always going to project some growth for the next year. Did you want to add to it, Dave? Okay.
No, one of the things that in the last year, I think we added like 100 people to giving, and so that would reflect some of that.
Your microphone.
Thank you. Just following up on that, do we have projections like just from the last couple months that can show support for that, or is it?
Yes.
more?
Well, we use every month, and of course, it's very scary to move along, but the big giving comes in December. And so we have based our future forward estimates on what we got last year, the same months. So just to be conservative, we did not even put growth in for this year.
Is there going to still be an evening service, and will that contribute to additional expenditures?
We currently have downsized the Sunday evening service, and so there aren't additional costs associated with it. But and I think Dave might have stopped it for the summer.
Yeah. Great question. We stopped it for the summer, and we won't do it unless we can do it in a way that makes sense in the cost. And so if it did, it might be for one slide person or one musician, but it wouldn't be a big, and we would have a session vote on that. Good question. Oh, okay.
Double mic on him.
2 mics.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Hi.
I did want to kind of dig into the giving part.
Okay.
So are you saying so you're saying that in 2025, the projections that you're using for up to the end of 2025 are now less than they were in 2024, or at the
They're
same level?
reflecting the same level. They're reflecting our actuals through May.
Okay.
And we're projecting the same giving per month as we got in 2024.
Okay.
And we have a larger congregation now.
Okay, and so for January through May, comparing 2024 to 2025, is the giving at the same level? Is it up or down? Like, what does that look like comparative?
I think it's pretty much the same, but I'd have to really kind of go back and follow up and get back with you on that. Okay.
And I guess the
What?
kind of relative to that.
Excuse me, just a second. I'm
Okay.
getting comments from the.
Oh, okay.
We do now have the QuickBooks so that we can show the spreadsheets that will show you what our various incomes were by month.
Okay.
So you can
but
look at
but
it.
I think correlated to that question is
It's easy to do, yeah.
the correlated to that question is between 2024 and 25 from a person's perspective. Has that changed like the number of people coming in January of 2024 and the number of people coming in January 2025? Because I think the next question is the 10% increase realistic given if there's been a change in attendance between them, but there's no change in giving, that suggests that maybe that's 10% is optimistic.
The 10% is for 2026.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm just asking
Yeah.
that, like
Yeah.
looking back, the assumption is 10% more people coming, so 10% more giving, but is that held out by 2024 to 25's
Right.
person to giving
What'll
ratios?
happen is,
I think the growth from 23 to 24 was 30%, and so we've been also seeing an increase in 25. And so I can give you those exact numbers. We do have those.
In the this is
Yes,
the people?
yes.
Okay. So 30% more people, but then not necessarily 30% more giving?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
And we'll be, before we enter 2026, we'll be scrubbing again. This is not the only scrubbing. We're going to go off and do other things. Every month, we'll be getting another look at where we stand based on the giving and based on the expenditures. This is what we're trying to reduce to now, but things may come up or things may go out. So it's a month-by-month trial, and then we get close to the last quarter, and we start scrubbing for 2026. So it's a look now, and we'll continue to look every month.
I noticed that we're budgeting for $1,000 a month less overhead or utilities. Is that like a discount that we're expecting, or some program, or just that, like in terms of overhead? How are we recouping?
Oh, that's including, okay, so we're kind of holding that constant. Things go in that category and come out. There haven't been any change, but there will be reduced overhead for next year, yes.
So I think that's my question, is like, what is going to be reduced from that overhead? Because usually isn't overhead, if it is constant, how are we reducing that by $1,000 a month?
Yeah, I have to go back and look at the exact thing, because we use that category for kind of a catch-all. And so it's not just utilities like lights and water and things like that.
Okay.
So, okay. All right. We'll get back with you.
I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but I'll ask and let
Okay.
me know. So I hear, and I think we all recognize that we want to continue investing in our children's and youth programs. And so I'm just curious, with the staffing levels that we have, what we will need as a congregation to do around more volunteering. Like, is there anything you can share with us around how we'll make that more sustainable so that we are also not burning out our staff? And is there anything new to share on that front, or is that to come later?
Carrie, do you want to talk about that?
As I had said a month ago, we are going to need to ask for everybody to have a little bit more skin in the game with your time here. We hope, and we do have the staffing now that will be organized by Amy with respect to the kids. We will make sure we're starting a spreadsheet on what everyone's gifts that they recognize as part of the body that they may be able to participate with. Some of that will be, hey, can you go downstairs? Can we be part? But a lot of it is going to be in other ways too. And the cost for the Sunday morning help is not as huge as some of the other things. So we may be able to find places where we have other gifts that we can step in to do. But we will be starting to roll out, hey, these are places that we have more needs. This is our first pass at kind of that envelope of this is how much we have to work with. Now, where are we going to fill in, and how are we going to be able to use that? So we'll keep you posted. All of this, what we are committed to is you're going to know if we are running low on our funds, you're going to know. And we are really trying to monitor this on that month-to-month basis so we can keep you posted.
And also, we'll be letting you know where we need more volunteers.
You mentioned the QuickBooks with the variants. Is that a new function, a new thing?
We have new modeling that we're able to do with.
So my question is, what was the honorarium? And it basically went from 12,000 to 35 to 0. So
We
what is that?
use that category to sort of put in hospitality, other. Honorarium is usually when someone comes to, for instance, an example, they come to preach and we don't pay them, but we might give them a special gift, you know. And so that is kind of the catch-all category for those things. At this time, we stopped all spending until we see where we are. That doesn't mean we wouldn't do things, as they are approved on a one-by-one basis, but we're not going to just have budget out there without knowing exactly what's happening. Is that answer? Okay.
Do we have a target number when it comes to cash on hand or surplus, or is that the more the better?
As much as we can. No, I mean, we need to have enough that we don't run short like we were a chance of running out in a month. So we will be working on that on what feels comfortable. I think, Carrie, at one time you had a percent that you wanted to get down to as far as spending versus, but we need to look at that. We're just here with this right now, and it feels okay because we're not running out of money. And so we'll look at some goals for that and have participation with you all in what seems right.
Our third largest line item for expenses is worship, and I know that we have part of the worship team is the salaries and benefits. So, what does the separate category of worship entail?
The band members are in there, and I'm not sure what else. Yeah, the what? Okay, we also put the hospitality stuff in there, yeah. Okay, just to simplify things so there aren't so many line items. And you'll notice that the worship team today was slightly smaller, and we're going to continue that through the summer, again, to hold costs.
I want to say, first of all, thank you for all the work that you've done. I know that this is very challenging and very time-consuming. And I also like to see that we have not decided to pursue the daycare option, because I feel like as a church, we need to be getting the majority of our income from our members in the forms of tithes and offerings. Since we've been coming to the church about a year or so ago, there hasn't been a lot of communication from the pulpit about giving. I know it's a challenging subject, kind of the elephant in the room, if you will, but are you looking at, or do you have plans to incorporate more of that in the ministry of the church so that everyone who is here on a Sunday morning will get that message? I know right now it's flashed on the screen before the service, as well as it's in the bulletin, but you could come and go and not even see that.
I think, yes, considering where we came from, where we've been and where we're going, I think more updates would be totally appropriate. I agree with you. And thank you for your comments.
I've even heard discussion about quarterly elder meetings just after a church service like this, talk about finances and things like that, just to be more transparent about what's going on and not have to wait for twice a year. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Putting it in the actual sermon, talking about how it is biblically based that we give to the church. I appreciate the updates and things like that, but I think we need to get down to just how it tells us in the Bible that we are supposed to be giving. And you can put it in more eloquent words than that.
Or I'll have you do the sermon that week, one of the two, so.
Bless you, bless you. That is so true. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd also like to say thank you to everybody for everyone's efforts in putting this together. I know it's been very difficult for everybody. In following on what Jill said earlier, I think my question would be, we've had a few people bring this up about other churches that have put together giving pledges, or the congregation can assist leadership by people saying, hey, this is what, maybe it's not an exact amount, sometimes it'll come, it'll go, but you can get a better sense from the congregation. Is that something that's been contemplated as a way that we could better assist giving the church an idea of where things will be? And then obviously as the congregation grows, we can extrapolate. And also my second question would be on analytics. And I think this complements what Jill said as well. I know a large percentage of our income comes from a very small percentage of the congregation, but do we have a sense of what our giving participation rate is, and is there a way to maybe encourage that, even, give what you can?
Yes, we do, and it's everyone is giving. When we say that there's some larger givers, it makes it seem like, everyone should give. Everyone is giving, so we don't want to do that. But yes, we have talked about potentially doing a, what'd you call it? I forgot. Pledge. Thank you. Yeah. We have talked about that, and we have done that in the past some, and we, we'll see, maybe would consider that again, and then we'll come to your house if you know. But yes, any planning tool is helpful. So
I think when you discuss the need, and then also we have, a handful of families that do a majority of it, and the opportunity to talk about it more, it might be something that we do. And we're already talking about a discipleship focus for our small groups and Sunday mornings in the fall. But it could be something that we do to encourage more people to do ongoing giving, maybe at lower amounts rather than bigger, just to get more people to be a part of the process. And so I was, at the last church I was at, they asked for pledges, and whatever pledges came in, they simply doubled it, and that was their budget for the year. Now, they were all retired. They knew exactly how much they were making. So I have seen that work. I don't know if that's what we want to do here, but pledges have been discussed. And I think that's a really good, you're not the only person to bring those up.
Kim?
When you get old, you've been in church forever, you get to say whatever you want. So I think the sermon today and what you said is, I just want to affirm that is exactly what, because the spiritual growth of the church is the most important thing. And those are spiritual disciplines: giving, volunteering, serving. Those are the things that make a church. And if our members, our attenders, our people aren't doing that, we have a bigger problem than we do in money. God can do anything. And I've been part of pledges. I'm not a fan because I think that faith has to come in there somewhere and say, God can say, watch what I'm going to do. Just watch, and watch me do it. Don't just base it on what you can get, and so this is our budget, and that's all. Just watch what I'm going to do. And that's my encouragement, is that we watch what God's going to do, but we do, just like Bill was saying, we are ministers, and it is our responsibility. We don't get to sit back and say, feed me. We don't get to sit back and say, I will when I'm old, or whatever excuse we bring. We don't get to do that, because God says, do it. And if he says do it, he gives you the power to do it. That's all.
beautiful.
Well, Kim wrap that up just like I asked. Just kidding, I didn't ask her to. But we'll take a couple more questions. Garrett, go ahead.
I wanted to thank you guys for the update. As a former elder, I know these decisions weigh really, really hard on you. Sleepless nights, countless hours, because, church is an interesting balance of you have to make sure the numbers work and highly personal with relationships, because these decisions, are dealing with really, really good people that have taken our church to such a good place. And so it's really hard for the leaders to make these decisions. If you do appreciate the people that, are affected by these changes, let them know. Reach out to them, because they have done so much for this church. So I hope we recognize that we have to make the numbers work, but also these are people we love. So let them know that. Text them, call them. Also, it's been said a few times, we need more volunteers. I will send you the link to the children's sign up. I signed up last week, and it's been many, many months since I had.
Emily was the only one on there. So we need more people volunteering. I will text you right now the link so that you could sign up. So come find me and I'll help you sign up. So thank you guys for this update.
Thank you for that part, Garrett. Much needed.
All right. Well, myself, Carol, the elders will be here as long as you have personal questions, but I will, unless there's any last questions.
I probably have one more.
Sure.
I think for me, I've got a question generally on process. There's two pieces. I mean, we have a beautiful message about what was said today and how it kind of speaks to the giving. And to me, it almost, the message today felt more of a referendum on what we're doing, personally. Like him saying, we need to invest. We need to, you use it, you don't bury it. And I am part of staff in a way, I guess. I don't know all the mechanics here. And I also, as a person of staff, and also as someone who's been here for 2.5 years and seen 3 or 4 sessions, I feel this is very jarring. I'm on the inside, and I didn't even know Ken, no one from church anywhere has told me that Ken is no longer working with the church. He was up on the slides this morning. I'm on the inside, and I don't know. So how much communication, I'm going to posture it like this, moving forward, how much can we get back into a communication where I feel like we have a trajectory of change we can make, as opposed to being told, by the way, they're gone. By the way, you have 2 weeks, and if we don't raise this much, we're going to change things. 2 weeks go by, 2 months, a month, whatever it is, and there you go. Because I still can't even figure out, does that mean that previous sessions failed? Does that mean that the previous budgets that were approved by session and voted on by session were bad? Did someone make an error? Yeah. So I'm on the outside. Look, I'm speaking very candidly, so forgive the candidness. But yeah, I've seen a lot of.
Yeah, I think those are really good things, and they all speak to the transparency that we're trying to improve upon, whether it's from session notes to budgets to decisions being made. I think there's improvements to make across the board on all of those. So I appreciate you saying that, and there are opportunities to improve on those things for sure.
Okay.
We'll take one more question.
This is not a question, so low pressure. Is this being recorded? Just so I know how much to say.
Offline.
This is offline? Okay, cool. So, hey guys, I'm Michelle. I joined the church, I came to this church it's been a year almost now. I just want to say this to encourage people to start tithing. I'm a resident physician, so I work 60 to 80 hours a week. I'm a single mom. The nannies here are more hourly than I make. I have not been tithing the last 6 months because when I first got here, I was dealing with housing insecurity. But I will say in all the transitional times in my life when I did tithe, God showed up and worked miracles for me. He was going to do it anyway probably, but just me being obedient. So I am pledging to the church to start tithing again on the very little that I have, because hourly I probably make less than minimum wage. So I would just encourage people to kind of give your first tenth and see what God does with the rest, because he is still a miracle worker and he'll do it. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thanks,
That means so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, with that, we'll be available. Let me close in prayer and we will move on. God, thanks for, again, everyone in the room. Thanks for the gifts, the talents, the passions you've given to them. Thank you for calling all of us to be ministers. God, we want to live into your dreams for New City Church. And so where we have failed, where I have failed, God, we depend on your grace. But God, may we move forward a better version of ourselves, more dependent on you and more dependent on your grace towards us. And God, be with these people as they go about their days and go about their Sundays with their families and their friends. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks, everyone. If you have further questions, we'll be up here.